Hello, my name is Jasmine Aldana. This is Brittany. Brittany, can you say a little bit about yourself?
Okay, so my name's Brittany. You seen me on the first video. Let's see, I'm still not in college and I live under my parents for still. I have two brothers and then I just turned 21, so yay. Let's see. I have a cat and dog, and I guess that's it.
Alright, and I have already read you the consent form saying that everything that is said right now is going to stay between us, and that if any moment you want to stop the video, you can if you feel uncomfortable or if you feel like you just need some time to pause, okay?
Okay.
Alright, Brittany, so I kind of wanted to talk to you about if you could tell me something memorable that has happened to you. A memory, a happy memory, or a sad memory that makes you angry or anxious. Just a memory that you think has really affected you in the way that you think about your life.
Okay. So, I've had a memory that I was talking to a friend one time, and it was like 2 days before what happened, and we were texting like nothing ever was going to happen. Like, he was just texting me normally, everything was fine with him. So I really didn't found anything suspicious or anything like that something was gonna happen. And we were talking, and he was just telling me how, because I was hanging out with my ex, and then I was telling him how sad I was because of the way he was treating me. Excuse me.
So you were very close to that person.
Yeah, somewhat. I mean, I guess so, because we talked randomly, but we were really comfortable with each other. And so I was telling him about how, because I went out to eat, and I told my ex if he could come with me, but because he was my boyfriend at that time, my ex, and he said no, because he wasn't hungry, or I just felt like he was mad maybe. And so I was like, wow. So I felt lonely because I went to go eat by myself. And so I did, and then I texted him, and I told him, I was like, could you come over or hang out wherever, come over to where I'm eating and all. He said he couldn't because he doesn't have a ride. So then we just started getting into the conversation. We started texting even more, and he was telling me about that he liked me still, and he was just telling me that he loved me. It was weird because he was just saying it randomly, that he loves me. And I was just...
Who was this person? How do you know that person? Just a friend?
I met him. It was so weird because I met him. I met Steven. Where did I meet him? I think I started on. I added him on Facebook randomly, and we just started talking right there. It was so weird, and because he was close friends with this other kid named Jordan. Pretty sure you know. He was close friends with him, and then I just started knowing him because I saw him as a friend under Jordan's profile, and so I added him. I was like, okay, and then we just started talking right there. It was just weird. We just started talking, and then so that's how we met, and then we just started getting closer and closer each time. But that day he was just telling me that he loved me. It was really weird because it was random, and so he was telling me that he loved me, and I was like, oh, okay, because it was just weird, obviously, because it's weird that someone just tells you that they love you just randomly. I was like, oh, okay. So I just said it back, and then we were just like, oh, it was just so sad, because I sent him a text. I can't remember what I said, and he never replied back, and I was like, okay. So it was weird. I was like, I thought he probably he fell asleep. I was like, okay, he fell asleep, and then 2 days, I didn't text him the next day, and then it was on a Monday. No, it was on a Wednesday. I was at school, and it was lunchtime, and so everybody, lunchtime is for everybody. Everybody comes out at once and all, and so always, I go sit with my friends, our group and all. We sit there, and we just talk, and then I just sat down. I got my lunch, and I sat down, and then they were just it was so quiet on the at the table, and I was like what's going on? I don't know, it was just weird. I had a bad vibe, and I was like, what's going on? Why is everyone quiet? And they were just like, did you not hear what happened? I was like, what happened? And then, like, they were just quiet for a moment. And I told them, I was like, well, what happened? Like, tell me what happened. And they were just like, oh, like, Steven, committed suicide. And I was like, oh my God. Jasmine, you should have seen. I was so upset. Like, I don't know. My system just shut down. And it was so sad. And I went to the bathroom and I started crying so much. And lunch was over and I didn't want to go to class. But I had to. And so my friend was like, hey, Brittany, we got to go to class. And I was like, fine. And then I went to class. And then I couldn't hold my tears. I had to go cry. And so I told my teacher if I could go to the restroom. And she was like, yeah. And then she saw that I was upset. She was like, what's wrong? And I told her what happened. She was like, oh my God, I am so sorry. I went to the bathroom. I started crying so much. And I've been there for like hours in the bathroom. And so my friend came over and she was asking me, hey, what's wrong? And what happened? And so I told her what happened. And she was like, oh my God, I'm really sorry. And then she got a principal, like an assistant principal, to come and get me. And they were just telling me that what happened, like you're asking me and everything. And they were just asking me questions. And school finally ended, like the whole day. And they told me I couldn't drive because I guess they thought they were like, you're too upset. You're probably going to start thinking, suicidal or whatever. And I was like, no, but that's fine, But
Yeah.
I still drove home either way.
Yeah, so what emotion were you feeling at that point? Was it just deep sadness?
Yeah, it was so sad. Like, I don't know. I felt like depressed too. And then like I was like that for like a whole week. And then so I was at home. I never came out of my room. I didn't eat. And my mom was like upset because she was like, what's wrong? And I told her what happened. Like, she knew what happened, but she was just like, are you okay? And all. And I told her, yeah, I'm fine.
Mm-hmm.
But then every time when they ask me if I'm okay, I always burst out crying because I know I'm not okay.
Yeah.
And then his funeral was like a week later. And we went to it. And there was a bunch of people. There was a lot of people. And I just started crying again. I mean, obviously, funeral, you start crying. And so I cried that whole entire night. And then we got home. And I was still upset. I didn't go to sleep till like the next day. And then I was still in my room. Like, I was in my room and I was just laying there. I didn't want to get out of bed or anything. And one of my friends came. I didn't know he was going to come because he didn't text me or anything. I just didn't even get on my phone either.
Yeah.
And then my friend came.
Mm-hmm.
It was a guy, one of my guy friends. He came, and then he was just like, oh, I just heard them knock the door. You know how my dog always barks?
Yeah.
Someone was at the door, and I was like, who's at the door? I didn't bother, like, paying attention because I don't think it's for me. And then my parents, I just heard him say thank you, and I was like, okay. And he left, and they came in my room. They were like, oh, your friend brought you flowers. He brought me flowers and chocolate. I was like, who's it from? And then they were like, oh, it's from Andy. I was like, really? Mm-hmm. They were like, yeah. So that's so weird.
Yeah.
So he brought me flowers and all to make me feel better. I was like, oh, that's so cute.
Yeah.
Because nobody ever does that, but it's because he liked me too. So I was like, okay. And so then that like made my night. But I was still like upset. But then now it's like, 2 years already passed.
Yeah. So do you often think about that or not really? So
no, because then if you think about it, it's like, what can you do? You can't do anything about it. They're already gone, So now if I think about it, I don't get sad unless I'm like in my moments when I'm like sad already, and then I think about it, then I'm like, oh my God, like then it gets there.
Yeah.
But then other than that, no, I don't.
So when you often think about that memory, what do you feel about it? Do you feel like, you said you feel sad, but you don't, burst out crying when you think about it. So what do you feel about it? Do you feel neutral? Do you feel angry? Do you feel resentment? Do you feel at peace?
No, I just feel like if I think about it, I'm just like, I do have like this feeling inside me that gets me sad, but I'm like, I can't do anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's just, I kind of did feel sad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel angry or anything because I was like, I know he went through problems.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really feel that way. I just feel that when I think about it, just like, it's hard to believe that he's gone, you know? Because you're like, I literally texted him 2 days before, and then he just passed away 2 days after. And you never even, like, you never know that's going to happen, which is crazy. So that's what still gets me out of, like I always think deep into it, because I'm like, he just texted me, and then he died 2 days after. It's just weird. But sometimes I do get on my phone, and I look through our messages, and I text him, even though I know he's not going to respond. But I still text him and be like, oh, hey, like if he was still, alive.
Yeah.
So I just text him.
Does that make you feel better when you text him?
Yeah, because it feels like he's reading it, but I know he's not, but,
Yeah.
But it's just, like, you just do it so that way you can just, like, talk to them again. Or, like, you never know, like, if you go to sleep and you dream about them and then you talk to them there, that's what I do. But
Is that kind of, like, what you used to, like, cope a little bit? Or did you use something else to cope? Like, did you talk to somebody professional?
No.
Or did you just kind of, like, move on from it?
I just moved on from it because I was like, you can't do anything about it. Because, I mean, you can talk to someone about it, but I was, like, a professional. I was like, no. I don't know. It was just, I felt like it was something common, So I was like, I don't think it's something for me to talk about.
So you think, like, somebody committing suicide was common, or you think
no, like, I'm saying, like,
mourning somebody was common?
No, because I like, if you were to talk to a professional, I feel like if I talk to them, they're gonna be like, oh, it's something common. I hear about this all the time, and all, So I was just like, I'm just gonna keep it to myself. So that's what I did. I mean, either way, I didn't want anybody else to know, like, what happened and everything, because I feel like everything's gonna spread, and I feel like that's like disrespect. So I didn't say anything. I just kept it to myself. So
yeah. So based on, like, that experience, on how you felt sad and how you kind of learned to sort of move on, but keep in mind that you want to respect him. From that experience, did you learn anything else? Is there anything that you've changed in your life because of that experience? Or it made me learn that. I mean, I've had, like, people pass away now, but I've never had, like, it happened to me as in, like, a close friend passed away. So it made me learn that, like, he made me learn, like, the feelings of, like, the pain and everything, like, how you would feel if someone passes away, like, someone close to you and all. So that's what I learned from it. So I don't know how to explain it, but it's just, like, you kind of, now you know what it feels like to lose somebody close.
So it's just, like, if something like that happens, then I'll be prepared about what happens, Because someone just passed away, too, one of my close friends as well. And it was so sad. I mean, we started crying. My mom and I started crying because we helped him. He was going through so much. And, so I knew, like, I was prepared for it. So I was like, oh, man, like, he passed away. Because Michael told me, it's like, oh, Sean passed away, and I think it was suicide, too. And I was like, ooh. I didn't cry about it, but I cried about, like, because we were at work, and he told me, and I didn't cry about it. I was like, oh, like, I didn't feel it. But then later on at night, I did. That's whenever it hit, because I started looking at his pictures and people posting, like, rest in peace and all that on his post and all.
Yeah.
And that's whenever I felt it. I was like, oh, damn, like, it hurts. But I don't know. I had it, like, I was already prepared for it, in case if it happens.
So do you feel like you kind of, like, keep your guard up because of that? Like, you've seen it happen before where somebody, you lose somebody close to you. And now you kind of, like, you were kind of keeping your guard up because you kind of thought maybe it's going to happen again. So that way it didn't feel as harsh.
Yeah. Because I was just prepared for it. I was like, I knew, like, something, like, I don't know, for some reason I had a feeling that someone was going to pass away, but I didn't know exactly who. So I already knew it was going to happen, but I was already like, oh. I was prepared for it. But I didn't really get upset about it, but like I said, like, that night it did hit because I showed my mom started looking at pictures of him, and she started crying, and that's whenever we both started crying, because then I started feeling bad, and we just started crying. But then other than that, it was just, I mean, we can't do anything about it.
Yeah. So now that you've kind of seen how suicide kind of affects the people around you, how it affected you, how do you feel about suicide? Do you feel like, what do you feel about the people who commit suicide? Do you feel bad for them? Do you feel...
It just, like, it happens to anybody. It's like, if you see, like, for example, that your daughter commits suicide, you're obviously going to be, the first thing you start thinking is, like, anger. Because you're like, why would you do it? What made you do it? And all that. But, like, it's just so sad. Like,
yeah. It is very sad because you have to mourn somebody, and then you have to think about, well, what happened to their head that they had to do that, where they felt like that was the only need.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it's good that, we talk about these emotions, because you never know what's going to be you or somebody you know or somebody you don't even know but you thought it had it good. So it's good to explore those emotions and kind of see, like, well, what would you do in that situation? How to go about it if you think somebody might commit suicide.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so surrounding that topic, do you feel like if you knew somebody was going to commit suicide again now, would you kind of intervene, or?
Well, I don't know, because it's like, I don't have the feeling right now that, like, nothing's going to happen.
Yeah.
But
So if you felt, let's say, you wanted to commit suicide, would you want somebody to step up and kind of talk to you?
I mean, I would tell someone if I'd be like, hey, but I never felt that way. But if I did, I would tell someone, be like, hey, I feel, like, I'm feeling a bit suicidal. I always, like, I would talk to them and tell them to, like, help me out and all. And I know they would help me. Obviously, because, that's just something bad, like, to lose someone that way. So I would talk to somebody. But then if it's, like, that time that I don't even care and I don't want to talk to anybody about it, then, I mean...
Yeah, so, but mainly you would seek help, right? So that's good. It's good that, as a professional, that if somebody is feeling suicidal, that they would seek help, because the last thing anybody wants to see is somebody die, especially when you've already mourned so much loss. So it's good to know that, if you ever did feel that way, you have, like, suicidal thoughts, you would seek help. So I feel like that's going to have, we're going to have a good relationship if we know that, if you ever have a dark thought or anything, you can, open up to somebody and talk to them. So it was good that we had this meeting, kind of know about your emotions, how you feel about if you would be open to talk to somebody or help somebody. So in our next meeting, we're going to be talking more about, how your emotions impact your actions, and talk a little bit more about yourself too, okay? Alrighty. So if you feel like you need to say something else new in the next meeting, just let me know, okay?
Alright.
Thank you for having the time to spend with me.